Continuing on my 12-part rookie profile series for 2022, we keep going through this deep wide receiver class with my wide receiver 6, my 1.09 and 1 quarterback leagues, probably my 112-ish in Superflex leagues, and that is Alabama wide receiver Jameson Williams. And I know, at least based on consensus, that this is kind of a low ranking of Williams, as most everybody has him as a top 5 guy, if not even top 3, and I have even seen film analysts have him as their wide receiver 1 overall in this class. I do think that Williams is a good prospect. He actually graded out a lot better analytically than what I thought he would. But when I look at his overall profile, I just find a lot of things that individually aren't really problems. I mean, they kind of are, but when you combine all of them, I don't know. It's just a weird feeling that I have with Williams that I would try to explain in this video. But first, let's dive into Williams' collegiate career. And in case you didn't know, Williams did begin his career at Ohio State in 2019 in that same freshman class with Garrett Wilson. Unfortunately for Williams, his freshman season just was not as good as Wilson's, as he was barely even on the field, playing in only 4 games, catching 6 passes for 112 yards and a touchdown. Not a good first season overall. But then again, unfortunately for Williams, his sophomore season was no better, as he only hauled in 9 receptions for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns, as he fell behind freshmen Jackson Smith and Jigba on the team's depth chart as the wide receiver 3 behind Wilson and Olave. Because of this rough start at Ohio State, he decided to transfer to Alabama, which is where he originally wanted to go, but was pressured into Ohio State by his family. So now Williams was the guy at Alabama, as Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle, both of these guys are gone. His only competition is John Mechie, who played a different role than Williams did in Bama's offense last year. So now Jameson Williams has a chance to shine, and he had a breakout 2021 season with Bryce Young, catching 79 passes for 1,572 yards and 15 touchdowns, leading the team in yards and touchdowns over their 15 games played. He had 7 games over 120 receiving yards, including 10 for 160 and 1 against LSU, 7 for 184 and 2 against Georgia in the SEC title game. And he was on his way to another great game against Georgia in the NCAA championship until he tore his ACL in the first half, which abruptly ended his season and his college career. So moving on to the analytics, let me remind you of my 12 markers that I am looking for from wide receiver prospects, which is just a series of 12 checkboxes or baselines that I would like them to hit based on what other successful receivers in the NFL did in college. So from these markers, Williams is currently sitting at 6 out of 12 markers hit, which is honestly better than what I thought that he would come in as. He currently hits on age, as he just turned 21 a few days ago, so happy belated birthday, Jameson. He hits on height at 6'1.5", 30% breakout age at 20 years old, best and last yards per team pass attempt from 2021, and best market share of yards from 2021. And the only 3 markers that he is really missing on are first yards per team pass attempts from that rough freshman year at Ohio State, 20% breakout age from, again, his time at Ohio State, and BMI, because he actually is really small, nearly the same BMI as Devonta Smith, at least according to what he weighed in at the combine with. And because of his torn ACL, he did not run the 40 at the combine, so I'm missing markers for that and for speed score. But considering that his best trait is probably sub 4.3 speed, he should hit on both of these markers, although at his weight, at least at the recorded combine weight, he would have to run a sub 4.34 to hit my speed score marker, so that might be a little bit close, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt and just say that he hits on both of those markers. And then finally, assuming that the mock drafts are correct and he is a first-round pick or at least a second-round pick in the NFL, he will hit on that marker too, which will bring him up from 6 out of 12 markers right now to 9 out of 12 markers, which will be tied with Treylon Burks and Chris Olave post-draft. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I am a little bit wary of Williams as a prospect for a number of small reasons that just kind of all culminate into one big thing. So number one, he had to transfer from Ohio State because he wasn't making a mark on the team. Yes, he was in a crowded receiver room with probably 3 other first-round picks in Olave, Wilson, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. But if Williams was a good wide receiver, he would have produced on Ohio State still. Targets are earned and are, in general, a measurement of skill for wide receivers. I give him a pass for his 2019 freshman season, but to then have a sophomore season with under 10 receptions again as the wide receiver 3 on the team for most of the year before eventually being beat out by a freshman?
Not great, Bob.
So then he transferred to Alabama, where he could be the guy, and he absolutely was the guy in 2021. but I just can't shake his production or lack thereof at Ohio State. And it's that Henry Ruggs argument all over again that we went through a couple years ago. But if you're not good enough to produce on a college team with future NFL receivers, how can we expect you to produce on an NFL team with actual NFL receivers? The second thing I'm concerned about is I fear that he is a one-trick pony. Everything that you hear about Jameson Williams is his speed. It's speed, speed, speed. He's not a good route runner. He's not a strong receiver to battle press coverage at the line of scrimmage or even at the catch point. Yes, he's tall, but he's also super lanky. Like literally everything around his game is centered around I'm faster than you, which definitely works in college. It did work in college at Alabama, and it can work in the NFL, but that gap between college speed and NFL speed is a really wide gap. And yes, speed kills at the NFL level. We all watched Tyreek Hill absolutely eviscerate the Bills defense in the playoffs, but we have also seen receivers get just launched up NFL draft boards only because of speed. We saw it with Henry Ruggs, John Ross, Philip Dorsett, Darius Hayward-Bay. I think there's a better chance that he's one of those guys than he is Tyreek Hill, with maybe the median range of outcomes being Will Fuller, a worse range of outcomes being Martavis Bryant, and maybe like a top 25% outcome if he doesn't become Tyreek Hill is that he just becomes Brandon Cooks. I just get very nervous about these speed-only type of receivers that Jameson Williams seems to kind of fit that profile. And then finally, he tore his ACL in mid-January, so his rookie year in the NFL will already be just a little bit disrupted. Now, I'm not a doctor, but the usual ACL recovery time is around 9 months in the NFL, which would put Williams back on the field in late September, if not more likely even early October. And there are reports that said that he did have some like new stem cell surgery that Amari Rodgers got at Clemson, where Rodgers returned in like 5 months. And apparently this was also done for Deshaun Watson when he tore his ACL at Clemson too, which worked well until he tore his other ACL in his rookie year in the NFL. Either way, the ACL injury happened and it's going to affect his rookie season in some capacity, either through missing or limited rookie camp, missing or limited training camp. Maybe he doesn't play preseason. Maybe he even starts the year on the PUP list in an absolute worst case scenario. I really don't know. But what I do know is that an ACL injury at this point in medicine is almost trivial, and it's almost like a rite of passage injury for nearly every NFL player. But the fact that it happened now, leading up to his rookie year, has me just slightly concerned, almost like a cherry on top from my previous two concerns with him from his collegiate profile. With that all being said though, I have Williams as my wide receiver 6 and a late first round pick in rookie draft still, because he is a very talented player who will be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. In fact, I know that I'm concerned about his time at Ohio State, but if he never transferred to Alabama, we would not be talking about him at all right now, anywhere even close to this ranking if he stayed at Ohio State. He made himself a first round receiver by making that move to Alabama, and if it was due to coaching malpractice by Ohio State, then they missed out, and I'm sure that I'm too low at wide receiver 6 in my ranking. But as for right now, this just feels right, all things considered, even if that means I most likely will not be getting him in rookie drafts. And if I am wrong, I will make sure to quickly correct that, like I did with Jalen Waddle last year. So with that in mind, let's look at landing spots for Williams in that mid to late first round range. And at this point, I've basically recycled like every team that could use a wide receiver from my previous videos already. So to make this super quick, I'm looking at teams like the New Orleans Saints, New England Patriots, Green Bay Packers, where even just today, Matt LaFleur actually said he needs more speed on his offense. The Arizona Cardinals, Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs. That's about half of the teams in the back half of the first round right there that Jameson Williams could go to and succeed at an NFL level. Ideally, I'm looking for a team where he could be the wide receiver 2 or the 1B, where he doesn't need to be the focal point of the offense, which all of those teams I think have. Obviously, most of these teams also have great quarterbacks who can just let it loose 50 yards downfield when Jameson Williams does run past his defender just because he's faster than everybody else. But I'm also hopeful that his role is not just relegated to go routes. And I think that most of these teams, again, can be creative in getting Williams touches in multiple different ways. So that is my breakdown of my 1.09 Jameson Williams. Please make sure that you hit that like button to let me know that you do have Williams as a top 5 wide receiver in this class. Let me know down in the comments if you are concerned or not about everything that I'm also concerned with, or just let me know if I'm just flat out wrong and why I'm wrong. And be sure to hit that subscribe button if you are not yet subscribed to get more content from the DLF YouTube channel as we continue on through rookie draft season with just a month to go before the NFL draft. So with that all being said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch y'all later.